Did you know in the Avengers, when Banner's talking about how he tried to kill himself by putting a bullet in his mouth, he mentions that the Hulk simply spits it out. This is not taken from the 2008 film The Incredible Hulk. In a deleted scene from that film, we clearly see that Banner never gets the chance to shoot himself since the Hulk appears to stop him. This is actually taken from the 2008 video game The Incredible Hulk. In the opening cutscene of the game, we clearly see how the Hulk is spitting out the bullet. Around 53 minutes in, Bruce also states that he can smell the crazy on Loki, and this was a setup for his fight with him in the Stark Tower later. Loki was going to create multiple versions of himself, and Hulk was going to be able to smell the original one by his crazy scent. Did you know in The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan tried to film the Gotham General Hospital scene without the use of visual effects components? But this proved to be difficult since some key components were missing. Between the time they got the okay to demolish the building, and when they actually got to film it, someone had come in and stolen all of the windows and metal framing from the top 2 floors. The crew had to subtly put in some window reflections that matched what it would really look like if there was a real row of windows there. Did you know in Tron Legacy, they ended up paying homage to the first Tron film multiple times? One of these times comes at the end of the film when Sam returns to the arcade. He can be seen uploading data from the desk, and he takes out a memory chip that bears a similar resemblance to the original data discs that they used in the first film. After he finished, he puts it over his head to wear it as a necklace, which just furthers the homage to the first data discs. There's also a point where Kevin sets a metallic polyhedron down on the mantle, and later, Clue comes home and picks up the same polyhedron. This is a bit that helped the original Clue and Flynn in Tron. Did you know in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest? During the scene where Norrington runs into Gibbs on Tortuga, he states that his story is the same as yours, just one chapter behind. This is reflected later when he's dumped into a pigsty after getting into a fight in the pub. Coincidentally, this is the same setting as the first movie where Jack finds Gibbs in a pigsty on Tortuga. As for another tie to the first film, Barbossa's return to the franchise was kept as a secret to the rest of the cast. So when Jeffrey Rush comes down the stairs at the end of the film, the reaction on the face of all the cast members is genuine, as they were told that Anna Maria would be coming back instead. Did you know in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice? The film continues a tradition that's been used in Batman origin stories for almost 4 decades. When the Waynes leave the movie theater, you can see a poster of the 1940 film, The Mark of Zorro. While it hasn't been used in all of the origin stories, it has been used in most Batman origin stories since 1986. The trend was started since Batman was largely based on the character of Zorro. Did you know in Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Merlin was originally supposed to survive the mine explosion by paying for it with his legs? According to Mark Strong, Merlin was going to humorously crawl through the door of the diner just after Whiskey dies, and he would have asked Eggsy and Harry for help. Then he was going to show up at the wedding with prosthetic legs. Matthew Vaughn cut the scenes after test screenings, and he stated that the test audience felt cheated emotionally by Merlin's last stand. Did you know in Black Swan, Nina's clothes change throughout the film to represent her emotional maturity changes throughout. In the beginning, Nina wears pink and white to symbolize her innocence and purity. After the formal party, she wears gray and neutral colors to symbolize detachment and indecision. When she goes out with Lily, she wears black to symbolize rebellion and darkness. As her hallucinations get worse, she wears white, gray, and black to symbolize her confusion and loss of reality. Did you know in Baby Driver, there's a scene in Bo's diner where Darling tells Bats, when Buddy sees red, all you see is black. At the end, when Buddy and Baby are in the parking garage, there are red lights that switch on in the patrol car that Buddy's driving. There's even a bullfighting documentary playing on the TV at the beginning of the movie that foreshadows this event. During the documentary, it states that the bull saw red, and the bullfighter started on horseback, but must finish on foot. Did you know in Creed, the father-son relationship between Rocky and Creed was actually based on Sylvester Stallone's real-life relationship with his eldest son? Just when the film started the pre-production phase, Sylvester's eldest son, Sage, died of a heart attack. Sylvester ended up going into a full breakdown, but Ryan Coogler convinced him to use the film as a way to say his final goodbyes to Sage. At the Golden Globes, Sylvester admitted that Creed helped him cope with the death. Ryan also convinced Sylvester to give him a picture of young Sage Stallone that he used in Paulie's room when Rocky talks about his son moving to Vancouver. Ryan didn't think that it would have been right to not have a representation of Sage in the film. Did you know in Ghost in the Shell, the shelling sequence at the beginning of the film was almost accomplished with just practical effects? Scarlett's body was the template for the cybernetic shell they made for the sake of authenticity. Weta Workshop designed the shell, and they studied human anatomy to make an accurate model. The construction alone took about 5 months. The white liquid that the shell comes out of was just a plastic solution, and they made a ballistics gel mold for the skin. Also, for Major's hair, they dyed it a blue color that glows a purple shade during the darker scenes in the film. This was an intentional reference to Major's color in the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Did you know in Coraline, the other mother has a name? It's Beldam, and it means a malicious and ugly woman. A long time ago, it was tradition on Halloween for kids to dare each other to knock on a beldam's door, and in stories, a beldam resembled the spider that lured children into her home with candies and treats. Many of these variations of a beldam are present in Coraline's other mother, as she tries to convince Coraline to stay with food and sweets, but she turns her into a spider creature when things don't go her way. Did you know in Corpse Bride, there's symbolism that foreshadows the end of the film? Towards the beginning, Victor lets a butterfly go. Later on, Victor and Emily pass a butterfly as they arrive in the land of the living. Towards the end, Victor lets Emily go, and she becomes a huge swarm of butterflies. The butterflies that make up Emily are the exact same color palette as the one from the beginning, and this symbolizes Victor setting Emily free. Did you know in the cabin in the woods? During the scene where we can see the control room whiteboard, we see all of the various possible monsters, and one of them is simply listed as Kevin. While we never see Kevin in the film, he is mentioned in the tie-in book labeled as the official visual companion. In it, it states that Kevin was meant to be a sweet-looking guy that seemed like he would work at Best Buy until he dismembers people. There are also monsters that reference the Evil Dead. On the whiteboard, we can see that it says Deadites and Angry Molesting Tree. That film also takes place in a cabin in the woods. Did you know in Donnie Darko, it was easy for Richard Kelly to cast Maggie Gyllenhaal for the role of Donnie's sister? The agent who told Richard about Maggie actually reminded him of Maggie's performance in Cecil B. Demented. In that film, Maggie drank urine. Richard was a little worried about casting her since she had only had a few film credits at the time, but he liked how she drank the urine. He also realized that he wouldn't have to try very hard to create a sibling rivalry between her and Jake, since they were already siblings. She ended up getting the part since Mara Wilson was the first choice for the part. Before Mara retired, she read over the script and declined to audition for the film. According to her, the script freaked her out, and she was already physically ill in her hotel room. Did you know in Requiem for a Dream, Aronofsky originally wanted Harry, Marion, and Tyrone to be way younger than they were written to be in the novel and screenplay. He wanted to change their ages to be around 14 and 16, to really push to show the devastating impact of drugs, and the author and writer even agreed to these changes. It was the producers who believed that this would make the film too horrific to American audiences. The producers stated that the film wouldn't be shown in theaters with younger characters, and Aronofsky agreed. In fact, one of the actresses was already horrified by the script. Originally, Ellen Burstyn rejected the role, but she changed her mind after watching Aronofsky's previous film, Pi. Did you know in Requiem for a Dream, there's a nod to another one of Darren Aronofsky's films? During the scene where Sarah's hallucinating that she's on a mock television show, her apartment's taken apart bit by bit, just like she's on the set of a show. Several of the crew members from the fake show pass by her while she sits in her chair, and one of the men can be seen carrying a clipboard with the Greek letter pi on the back. This is a reference to the movie Pi. Did you know in Predestination, there are multiple points that foreshadow the ending and twist? At the beginning, the agent looks at his new face, and he talks about how he doubts his own mother would recognize him. This foreshadows the fact that he or she is in fact his or her own mother. Later on in the bar, Ethan is talking to John, and the camera angle changes from time to time. Sometimes it's over the gentleman restroom sign, and sometimes it's over the lady sign. Also in the bar, the unmarried mother tells the bartender, "You son of a bitch." The bartender replies by saying, "Son of a bitch, that's funny." This alludes to the complicated twist as well. Did you know in The Sandman? There's a part of the first chapter where a dream is captured in 1917, and several different cases of dream disorders happen. This is actually historically accurate, since from 1917 to 1928, people in the UK suffered from diverse dream disorders. If the case was serious enough, they went into coma-like states. It was originally named encephalitis lethargica back in 1917, and they used that same name in this series. They never found the cause of the disease. Did you know in Dr. Sleep, during the first meeting between Dan and Abra, she throws out the idea of him posing as her uncle so that they avoid any suspicion. She calls him Uncle Dan as a term of endearment, but in the novel, they turn out to actually be related. Abra's mother is Dan's half-sister, and this is a result of an affair that Jack Torrance had right before he lost his job as a teacher. Another interesting comparison to the novel is that Danny and the others lure the true knot to the hotel, which has long been burned to the ground. In our film, the Overlook Hotel is still standing, and Mike Flanagan created new material. The boiler exploding was actually taken from the original The Shining novel. Did you know in She-Hulk Attorney at Law? During one of the trailers, Jennifer tells her colleague that she couldn't be an Avenger since
that is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason.
Of these three categories, adult orphans make up the bulk of Marvel superheroes. They include Spider-Man, Magneto, Deadpool, Rocket Raccoon, Gamora, Star-Lord, Wanda, and Pietro Maximoff, Steve Rogers, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, Natasha since she was removed from her parents, and Tony, who was orphaned by the Winter Soldier.